Hey everyone. I never thought I'd be one of those people posting in a place like this, but here I am, needing some advice or at least a place to vent. I've been married to Amanda for 7 years. We've had our ups and downs, just like any couple, but recently things have taken a turn I never expected. I always thought we were solid, you know? We built this life together, had plans for the future, the usual. But over the last few months, things have felt off. I couldn't put my finger on it at first. It started with small things like Amanda being glued to her phone more than usual. She'd laugh at random texts or hide her screen when I walked by. I asked her about it, and she'd brush me off with some excuse like, "Oh, it's just work stuff," or "I'm talking to Sarah about her drama." I didn't think too much of it then. Amanda's always been social and I trusted her. But man, was I blind. Looking back, there were so many red flags I should have seen. Her suddenly staying late at the office, going out with her friends more frequently, or needing me time away from the house. She always had a reason, and I always gave her the benefit of the doubt. But the distance between us was growing, and I could feel it. We stopped talking about our days. She seemed distant, even annoyed by my presence at times. We hadn't been intimate in weeks, which Amanda blamed on stress. I believed her, or maybe I just didn't want to believe something worse was going on. But things were about to get a whole lot worse. So, a few weeks ago, everything finally blew up in my face. I was cleaning up around the house when Amanda's phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. Normally, I wouldn't think twice about it, but this time, I don't know, maybe I was already suspicious. Maybe it was my gut telling me something was off. The message preview was from someone named Alex. Weird. I don't remember her mentioning any Alex from work or her friend group. The message said, "Can't wait for next week, winking face." Something inside me snapped. I know it's wrong to snoop, but at that moment I didn't care. I unlocked her phone and scrolled through their conversation, and there it was. Everything I had been too blind to see. She and this Alex guy had been planning a whole week together, away from me. They were going to meet at a cabin in the mountains for what they called their escape. Her messages were disgusting. Amanda had written things like, "I can't wait to feel your arms around me again," and "This week is all about you and me, no distractions." The worst part? She didn't even hide it. There was no sense of guilt, no shame. She was flaunting her betrayal right under my nose. Felt like someone punched me in the gut. Couldn't breathe. I was in shock, just standing there staring at the screen as everything fell apart. My hands were shaking, and my heart was racing. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I kept reading, hoping for some kind of explanation, but it only got worse. She even told Alex that I was too clueless to notice, and that I wouldn't care even if he found out. That's when the anger started building inside me. How could she talk about me like that? Like I was some kind of idiot she could just step all over? I put everything into this marriage, and this is what I get? I didn't know what to do next, but one thing was clear. Amanda was cheating, and she didn't care if I found out. I couldn't sit on this information. I wasn't the type of guy to pretend everything was okay when it wasn't. So I waited. I waited for Amanda to come home that night, pretending like everything was normal. But inside, I was boiling over. I wasn't sure how I'd bring it up or what I'd even say, but I knew I had to confront her. She walked in around 7, smiling like nothing was wrong. She even gave me a quick kiss on the cheek, which almost made me lose it right there. The audacity. But I held it together for a few more minutes, watching her as she poured herself a glass of wine and made small talk about her day. I couldn't stand it anymore. "So, how's Alex?" I asked, trying to keep my voice calm, though I could feel my pulse pounding in my ears. She froze, that glass of wine halfway to her lips. The blood drained from her face, and for a split second, I saw fear in her eyes. But then, just as quickly, she composed herself, raising an eyebrow like she had no idea what I was talking about. "Who's Alex?" she said, her voice annoyingly casual. "Don't play dumb, Amanda. I saw the messages. I know what you've been doing behind my back." My voice was shaking, but I wasn't going to let her gaslight me. Her reaction was infuriating. Instead of apologizing or even acting remorseful, she rolled her eyes and set her wine glass down on the counter. "Oh, you're overreacting. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal." My hands balled into fists at my sides. "You're planning a week with another man, Amanda. How is that not a big deal?" She laughed, and then she said the words that would haunt me for the next few nights. "He's just a toy for me. It's nothing serious. It's just fun. Just fun. Like I didn't even matter. Like our marriage, our years together, meant nothing." I felt something snap inside me then. Something dark. But I didn't yell. I didn't scream. I just stood there, feeling my heart shatter into 1,000 pieces. After she said those words, it was like everything around me went silent. All I could hear was the pounding of my own heart. My mind was a mess of confusion, anger, and hurt. How could she be so cold, so heartless? How could someone I thought I knew so well turn into a complete stranger? Amanda kept talking, but I wasn't even listening at that point. My world had just been flipped upside down, and all I could think about was how I'd spent years loving someone who clearly didn't care about me anymore. She was standing there, explaining her little game with Alex like it was some kind of innocent fling, like it didn't mean anything. I had always thought betrayal would be this fiery, dramatic thing. But this felt like a slow, suffocating burn. It wasn't just the fact that she cheated, it was how she made it seem like it was no big deal, like I didn't matter at all. That hurt more than anything else. The disrespect, the way she treated me like I was beneath her. I spent that night on the couch. Couldn't even look at her. She didn't try to talk to me, didn't try to fix things. She just went to bed like nothing had happened. Like she expected me to just get over it. But I couldn't, and I wouldn't. The next few days were a blur. Amanda acted like nothing had changed, like we could just go back to normal. She even had the nerve to ask me if I wanted to grab dinner with her one night, as if her betrayal wasn't the huge elephant in the room. But I couldn't let it go. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those messages. Her words kept playing in my head. "It's just fun. He's a toy for me." I knew I couldn't live like this, pretending everything was fine while she planned her next trip with Alex. That's when the anger started to replace the hurt. I wasn't going to let her walk all over me. I had to do something, take some kind of control back. But the question was, divorce or something else? I thought about packing my bags and leaving. I thought about confronting Alex, making him see the pain he'd caused. But in the end, I decided that if Amanda thought she could get away with this, she was sorely mistaken. She had no idea what was coming next. After a few days of stewing in my own anger, I made my decision. If Amanda thought she could play me for a fool and walk all over me, she was dead wrong. I wasn't going to sit around like some chump while she sneaked off with Alex for her escape. No, this time I was going to be the one in control. I wasn't the type to let things slide. I was going to make her feel every ounce of pain she put me through. I spent the next couple of nights thinking up the perfect plan. Divorce? Yeah, that was coming, but not before I had my moment. I wanted Amanda to feel the humiliation she so easily dished out. I decided to hit her where it would hurt the most, her reputation. Amanda loved to play the role of the perfect wife to our friends, always putting on this fake smile, acting like we were the ideal couple. I was going to shatter that image for good. So I made a few calls. I called her friends. Yeah, the ones she always lied to me about meeting for drinks, and a couple of our mutual friends. I told them I wanted to throw Amanda a surprise party, and being the type of people who love drama and surprises, they were all in. Next, I made sure I knew when Amanda and Alex were planning their little getaway. I found out through her texts. She wasn't exactly being subtle, that they'd be leaving in 2 days. I arranged the party for the night before they were supposed to leave. What Amanda didn't know was that this wasn't going to be the kind of surprise she'd enjoy. The night of the party arrived. Amanda was acting normal, totally unaware of what I had planned. She was even in a decent mood, which made me sick. Meanwhile, I made sure everything was in place. A couple of her closest friends were already at our house when I gave Amanda a heads up that we had some company. She seemed confused at first, but then I said it was a little get-together to celebrate her week off. I could see her eyes widen for just a second, but then she smiled that fake smile of hers. "Oh, that's so sweet of you," she said, acting like the perfect wife in front of everyone. But I knew her better. I knew she was panicking inside. Little did she know I wasn't done yet. We sat down for dinner, made small talk, and acted like everything was normal. But when dessert came around, I made my move. I stood up, tapped my glass, and said I had something to share with everyone. Amanda's eyes flickered with unease, but she stayed silent, probably thinking I was just going to gush about our marriage or some nonsense. Instead, I looked right at her and said, "Amanda, why don't you tell everyone about Alex?" You could hear a pin drop in the room. Her face went pale, and she stammered, What are you talking about?" I smiled coldly and pulled out my phone. "Oh, your little toy. The one you've been planning a week away with. Want me to show everyone the messages?" She tried to grab the phone out of my hand, but I stepped back. Her friends were stunned. I showed them enough of the texts to make it clear what she had been up to. The gasps, the judgmental looks. They all turned on her, and she had nowhere to hide. Amanda stormed out of the house in a fit of rage, but the damage was done. Her friends looked at her like she was some kind of alien, shocked that their perfect friend was capable of something so dirty. I didn't care that I'd exposed her. It felt good. I was tired of playing the fool, tired of her lies and manipulations. For the first time in months, I felt like I was the one in control. She didn't come home that night. I figured she probably went to Alex's place, but honestly, I didn't care. The humiliation she felt was just a small taste of what I'd been dealing with. I wasn't going to let her get away with treating me like a doormat. The next morning, I packed her things. I didn't want her in the house anymore. When she finally came home, I told her point blank that we were done. I wasn't interested in hearing any more of her excuses or lies. She begged, cried, and even tried to blame me for not being exciting enough, but I wasn't having any of it. I told her to get out and that we'd be talking through lawyers from now on. Seeing the look on her face when she realized she'd lost everything was almost worth all the pain she put me through. It's been a few weeks since all of this went down, and to be honest, I feel like a weight's been lifted off my shoulders. Yeah, the betrayal still stings, but I'm done letting Amanda's actions define me. I've started focusing on myself, rebuilding my life without her. Funny enough, I've even reconnected with some old friends, people who actually care about me and don't treat me like trash. Looking back, the thing that hurts the most isn't the cheating itself, it's the disrespect. The way Amanda acted like I didn't matter, like our marriage was just a game to her. But if there's one thing I've learned from all of this, it's that you can't let someone else's actions destroy your sense of self-worth. I was loyal, I was there for her, and I was the one who took our vows seriously. That's on her for messing it up, not me. So, for anyone reading this who's in a similar situation, here's my advice. Don't let them walk all over you. Stand up for yourself, even if it means things get ugly. Don't let someone else's betrayal take away your power. I let Amanda treat me like a fool for too long, but in the end, I took back control. And honestly, I don't regret a thing.